Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another podcast edition of Create Yourself Imagery, Intimacy, Innovation, a place where people from all walks of life and various backgrounds they come to share their transformative personal and professional stories of restoration, confidence, clarity, empowerment, and education. They're here to share their helpful tools, resources, and affirming guidance. I'm Joyce Kyles, your global speaker, author, trainer, coach, and consultant. And if you're ready to transition, transform, and thrive, this is indeed the podcast for you. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. If you are returning, welcome back. And as I always say, tell a friend to tell two more friends to tune in so that we can transition, transform, and thrive together. And as you know, I am always excited about my guests, and I am very particular about the guests that I have. So any and everyone that I have on the show, it is not by accident, it is not by coincidence, it is truly by design. And this week is no different. I am super excited to be able to introduce to some and present to others this wonderful young man. He goes by the name of Coach Jordan Nichols, which is his brand, but I also like his stage name, which is Preech da GodBody. So without further ado, let me introduce you all to him. Welcome, Coach Nichols, to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So look, we're just going to jump right in. So I want to say though, before we get started into your part of the interview, I want to share that I did do some research on you on Instagram, and one of the things that I loved seeing was the fact that one of the people that you were highlighting on one of your posts happens to be someone that my husband and I support in business. She has amazing products, so I just thought, look at the timing of that happening. That was just awesome to me. So my first question to you, of course, is to just tell us about who you are, what you do, and your create yourself journey that is not listed in your profile.
Okay, well, I usually start off by introducing myself as Coach Jordan Nichols, the founder and editor-in-chief of Entrepreneurs of Color magazine. Entrepreneurs of Color magazine is a publication that I initially began as a blog on Tumblr, and it eventually grew into publication available in both print and digital. So we have historically have had digital and print publications. We have been quiet for a few years now, so we are entering, or we have just recently entered a major relaunch phase for the magazine. But the magazine was started in 2013, so it's been around about 13 years. We've published over 30 editions, so we've featured some 40 or more entrepreneurs over time, and we focus our themes on specific business topics because that's the meat of the publication. So outside of highlighting entrepreneurs and business owners and telling their story, we also connect with contributors, experts, subject matter experts, people who contribute content that is intended to be educational and insightful, something that entrepreneurs and business owners can read and apply to their own businesses and to their own lifestyles. And so that's the biggest part of what I do. That's what I spent most of my time doing. I recently became certified as a personal trainer, certified sports nutrition coach, and a youth exercise specialist. So Coach Jordan is a business coach slash fitness coach. I've been a business coach much longer, but I just recently got into fitness coaching. I specialize in working with the youth, but I do work with people from all different backgrounds, different age groups, different lifestyles. And so that's what I've been doing most recently. So the name Coach Jordan is actually a recent branding pivot for myself because I figured it ties into both of the things that I'm doing from my magazine to fitness. Because it doesn't matter whether I'm working with a business owner or entrepreneur through my branding coaching or through the magazine, or if I'm working with a youth athlete or athlete of any age, or just anybody who's looking to enhance the quality of their lifestyle through fitness and nutrition. My main goal in working with my clients and the people that I work with is to be an impact in their life, a positive impact to create growth or to inspire growth in their goals. And so just helping people reach their goals and helping people basically bring out the potential or tapping into the potential that they have within. Because that's usually what it is with most people. Most people, most times it's not even so much of a lack of motivation. A lot of times it's a lack of resources and a lack of encouragement, and someone who can see the potential in you and helping you bring it out of you. So I do that through business coaching and through fitness coaching.
I love the fact that you have found a way to sort of marry all of these things together. That it's not an either or, it is truly a both and with the way that you pull them all together. And I think that that's really important. Um, you know, one of the things that you mentioned is that you've made that pivot as coach Jordan Nichols, and that's relatively new for you. But still, congratulations to you just the same, because like you said, that's a great pivot. And I'm just so appreciative of the fact that you emphasize the work that you're doing with the youth, but also in athletes in that space. But what you're doing with business owners, with entrepreneurs, with those who may be feeling a bit of a challenge, when it comes to having that confidence, like in resources. Like you said, a lot of it is not just about the motivation, but resources do play a role. And so it sounds like you are offering opportunities to be seen, to be heard, to be felt in the ways that you do with the magazine, with the work that you do as a spoken word artist, because I want to get into that just a little bit as well, and what you are currently doing as a coach. So I just appreciate the fact that you're bringing all those elements together.
Thank you. And I've had to do that because I've initiated quite a few brands that we wouldn't even have time to get into. And so I am very much a serial entrepreneur. I've had my hands dabbled into quite a few things. And so for a while, I felt like I looked too much like a jack of all trades and a master of none. So for the last 5 years or so, I've spent a lot of time and focus on making it all make sense and tying it under one umbrella. So so that I don't, confuse people, and so that my mission and my vision is more clear.
So with you bringing that piece up about being a serial entrepreneur, because I do know that there are those who are in my listening audience that are serial entrepreneurs, and I love the fact that you said, that master of none, but jack of all trades. Talk to us a little bit about those who may be serial entrepreneurs and may feel like they're kind of dabbling in a little bit of here, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, um, but not necessarily clear. So how did you create the mindset of how to bring all that together?
Like I said, I feel like it goes back to a person's mission and vision. Usually most times with serial entrepreneurs, or just at least speaking for myself, like I said, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, what industry I'm working in, what services I'm offering, what products I'm offering. My passion is helping people tap into and reach their potential. And so I took a step back and I looked at all of the things that I was doing, and I just, decided that there has to be some kind of way that they all tie in together. And so when I look at it, I was like, well, they all do carry the same mission. No matter what I'm doing, I'm looking to help someone and help them reach that next level and help them reach their goals. And so, I feel like as serial entrepreneurs, that's one of the best things that we can do is tie that in, because then people aren't looking at the individual projects or initiatives that we have. Now they're looking at us, looking at you as a serial entrepreneur, as a person with a mission, as a person with a vision, a person with, who's looking to provide solutions to particular problems. And so even if people don't understand everything that you do, they understand the core of why you do it. And so it's very important to be able to do that and communicate that message to people so that they understand, no matter what it is that you're doing, your mission and your vision stays the same. So it's very easy to get caught up in feeling like you want to or have to do everything all at once, especially when you're talking about multiple streams of income. But then when you're marketing and you're communicating your value to people, you have to understand people out, outside looking in, they're wondering, what do you specialize in? What are you best at? What is it that they really want to work with you on? So you kind of have to find your flagship, your flagship, that core service, or those core products, that whatever it is that is likely to be your biggest area of monetization, and use that as your flagship to, carry the torch into funding your other ideas. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many ideas you have if you don't have the capital to fund them.
Now, that's very, very, very sound advice and perspectives in it all. So I love that you are mentioning, being okay in with having multiple ideas and different ways that you would like to show up, in the world. But then at the same time, considering what is that flagship and what is your mission, what is your vision, and how do they all tie in together? Because especially when you're a creative person, you tend to have a lot of different ideas about wanting to do a lot of different things. And so how to pull all of those together and then, being truthful about having the resources available to be able to do that. What does that look like? And that's, those are all real things. So one of the things that I do pride myself on with this show is being able to give people insights on, tools, resources, but also being honest and authentic and transparent too. This world of entrepreneurship is not always easy. It takes work, it takes a mindset of pushing forward and doing it, no matter what's going on around you. So I love that you are bringing all those pieces together in what you do, how you show up, how you share. Before we go into the magazine part, because I do definitely want to come back to that. And I know you got some things that you're working on as you are branding and rebranding out. I do want to touch on the spoken word piece. Your drive and how you came into that, because I do have listeners that are creatives. They love to write, they love to self-express. I am certainly among those as a speaker. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
That's actually where it all started at in my adult life, anyway, as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. The first products that I had were based around me as a spoken word artist. So I had actually had a brand or initiative that I started back then, even before the magazine, called the Poetry Movement Collective. And then that was my way of, again, bringing attention to and creating visibility and popularizing the spoken word industry or community, I should say. And, so I actually had a directory on the website, thepoetrymovement.org, of different events, open mic events that, people could either go to and to perform or just to support, because I felt like poetry at that point had saved my life, because I was coming out of depression, I was coming out of grief, I was dealing with a whole lot of stress. Stuff that I felt like I was way too young to be going through at 18, 19 years old. And so I had to find an outlet, a healthy outlet. Actually, I had gone through multiple arrests. I had been incarcerated a number of times. I actually had to sit in the county jail for some 81 days, I think it was, because of everything that I was going through at that time. And I just had to figure something out. I'll never forget, I was sitting in the infirmary in the county jail contemplating the thoughts of suicide. And I looked out the window and I saw the sun in the sky. And I just had a talk with the sun as if I was talking to God, like, just give me some time, give me some proof that my life has meaning. Because right now I don't feel it. So poetry came out of that. And I started to write and met someone who introduced me to someone who introduced me to someone else, and they showed me ways, open mics, local open mics that I could go to, and I just hit the ground running.
Wow, 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 wow. So thank you for your honesty, your transparency about your journey. I know that there are listeners who certainly can relate to how you began and why you do what you do. That's why I always say, transition, transform, and thrive, because this is, a journey. It's a walk. It's how we transition from one stage in our lives into the next. And, what is that transformative experience? What was that like for you? And so I appreciate you sharing, what that pivoting point was for you and how well you have been working in your life to turn it around and do all the amazing things that you're doing. So that being said, tell us about the magazine, what you have coming up, things that you're looking for, and how, we can best support you.
Okay, so originally I'm from Pensacola, Florida. However, I lived in Atlanta for a few years. That's where most of the networking that I've done for the magazine has been done. That's where our largest audience is. I just recently made a move back to Atlanta about a month ago. And since then, I have connected with a network studio to reintroduce, excuse me, the podcast that I had introduced to my magazine years ago, which is known as Let's Talk Business. And so we have that in the works now. So the premiere for that is August the 3rd. and that's going to be available in different ways to stream. We'll have that information out eventually. That'll be August the 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That actually, the studio is on Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. And we're actually having a networking event a couple of days before that, August the 1st, at Status Network Media is the name of the studio. It's at 777 Cleveland Avenue. Anyone is invited to come out. That's going to be starting at, I believe we have at 7 p.m. Excuse me, got so much going on. I have to think sometimes. If I'm not mistaken, it starts at 7 p.m. or excuse me, 6 p.m. 6 p.m., 777 Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, on Southwest Side. It's August 1st. And then August 3rd will be the premiere of the Let's Talk Business podcast, which will be segmented in two ways. One of the shows is going to be a panel discussion, and the other segment is going to be one-on-one, what we're doing right here today. So we're just going to sit down and talk with entrepreneurs and business owners to give them a platform, another platform, among many to tell their story. And so those are some of the big things we got going on. We also have our next actual edition is a special edition that releasing July 3rd. That one is going to be distributed in my hometown, Pensacola, Florida. The person that we're featuring is a Pensacola native who's celebrating 10 years of business. And so she's our cover story, our highlight for that. And then our official relaunch edition will be focused around or centered around conversations dealing with artificial intelligence and search engine optimization. We actually have ZL Scott, who is known as the SEO queen. She's been around for quite some time. She's worked with big major companies, multi-million dollar companies, and we are fortunate enough to have created to be in the process of creating a partnership with her. And so she's going to be on the cover for that. The release date for that is August the 3rd, like I said. So yeah, our next two releases are July 3rd and August the 3rd. Our next event is August 1st.
All right, all right. Sounds like you have a lot of fantabulous, that's my word, fantabulous things going on in the works for you. So congratulations to you in advance. I know that it's all going to be very successful. And those who follow you will be able to keep up with all the dates that you have coming up, being able to RSVP to learn more about the magazine, how to get involved, engaged, if there's opportunities for sponsorships, like all the things I'm sure you'll have
So yeah.
available if people follow you. So as we are beginning to wind down this conversation, what I always like to ask my guests is if they have any tools, resources, um, any words of encouragement, anything that they want to ensure that the listeners get from our time together today. So for the next few minutes, the floor is yours to share what you want to share.
Okay. Well, I actually didn't get a chance to mention my book that became a #1 Amazon bestseller
Well,
in the
let's get
first
into
week
it.
of.
Let's get into it. All right, congratulations. Let's get into it.
Thank you. It's actually titled 100 Tools and Resources to Boost Your Brand. So I wrote a book of a list of 100 different ways an entrepreneur or business owner can utilize these tools, 100 different tools and resources, excuse me, that a business owner or entrepreneur can utilize to boost their brand or enhance their visibility or enhance their infrastructure or just the way they do business in general. So it covers many different topics from marketing, branding, website hosting, domain registration, so many different things. I actually have a list of book publishers, book publishing companies in there as well. And I even list some coaches and consultants who I know personally who I felt like were worthy of being listed in the book. So whether you're looking for a coach or consultant or you're looking for domain registration, website hosting, email marketing, social media marketing, you name it, it's more than likely listed in my book of 100 different tools and resources. That's available on Amazon. You can just go to Amazon and type 100 tools and resources to boost your brand. Not to confuse anybody, but I published it under my what I consider my pen name or my spiritual name. It's four names. So when you see your Jordan Getty Adwin Bellucci, for those who remember that, uh, that's me. And that book is available on Amazon. So that's one way I felt like I did the work for other people in finding those tools and resources and put them all in one place.
I love that so very much. So I think that is a perfect way to be able to close us out in our time together. You provided excellent tools, resources. You provided a means and a way for people to be able to stay connected with you, which is listed underneath this broadcast or podcast. So if you are listening, then you have the opportunity to see his picture, you see his bio, you see all the ways to connect with him. I'm going to encourage all of you, stay connected to this young man. He is going places far and wide, and you want to be on those coattails to follow along and be able to, take advantage of some potential partnerships and sponsorships and just learn more about who he is and what he's doing. Again, congratulations to you on the book. Congratulations to you for getting that certification in coaching. You have a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and stories to share with our young people that resonate. And I know as a parent and as a grandparent, this is definitely one of those that I want to share with the young people because there's so much that can be that they can learn from you and your resilience. I think is to be commended. So tell us as we close out of all the ways to connect with you. Of course, we want you to go to Amazon, listeners, go to Amazon and purchase that book. But in addition to that, please share with us the best ways, because there's a list, as I mentioned, but what's the best way to connect with you?
Um, the best way to connect with me would probably be by use of my username because I'm connected with a number of different social networks. I actually don't spend more time on any one than the other. I used to spend more time on Facebook, but being that we're in this major relaunch phase and want to increase visibility, I can be found on Facebook, I can be found on LinkedIn, I can be found on TikTok, I can be found on Instagram, a number of different ways. The username that I mostly use is Coach Jordan 850. That's just my name,
Okay.
Coach COACH Jordan JORDAN 850. That is, I know for sure that's the name on LinkedIn. That's the name on Instagram.
All right, all right. Well, it sounds like we know the best ways to connect with you. I am so glad that you and I had an opportunity to connect. And again, I don't believe in coincidences. So it was truly divine that you and I were to connect. I'm looking forward to staying connected with you, learning more about who you are, learning more about your brand. And, I'm in Atlanta now as well. We've been here for a short time ourselves. So, looking forward to connecting with you in these networking environments as well. So let's make it happen.
For sure, most definitely. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show today, Coach Jordan Nichols. We appreciate you, your time, your wisdom, and all the valuable information that you shared.
Man, thank you for having me.
And of course, to my listeners, thank you for tuning in as always. And until next time, go forward and create the life you desire and deserve. And remember that you can do so at any age. Let's continue to transition, transform, and thrive together.
Man.